Amy, well, you just heard Donald Trump there from his speech in New Hampshire yesterday. Donald Trump basking in the glow of perhaps some unanticipated endorsements, including from the Phoenix LGBT organization, endorsed Trump after seeing Hillary's response to the massacre, the radical Islamic terrorist attack in Orlando over the weekend. And then there's this from Jim Hoft. He is the Gateway Pundit, popular blogger. I came out in the 1980s to family and friends during the AIDS epidemic. I saw a lot of friends get sick. I saw a lot of friends die. I went to a lot of funerals. It was a scary time to be gay. Like most gay Americans, I don't wear my sexuality on my sleeve. I go about my daily business. I try not to harm anyone. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my country. I've been a conservative activist for years, but today I'm coming out as a conservative gay activist. In the past few years, I built one of the most prominent conservative websites in America, True. I created the Gateway Pundit because I wanted to speak the truth. I pray that gays will come back home to the Republican Party. No more death. Dear God, no more death. Jim Hoft, Gateway Pundit. And someone else in that category of outspoken gay conservative activists is our friend Milo Yiannopolous. He presented a choice over the weekend to America. Here's the choice Milo presented.
America has got to decide, very simply, if it wants female emancipation, gay rights, and tolerance for other skin colors and religious persuasions and other points of view, or if it wants Islam. The choice is really that simple.
And for more on that choice, we're happy to be joined again by Milo Yiannopolous, Breitbart tech editor. Milo, thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. And by the way, just as a quick aside, before we get into the issue of the day, I'm going to give you this victory. DePaul University President Dennis Holzschneider announced yesterday he plans to step down at the end of the next school year.
He did. This is yet another scalp for my Dangerous Faggot tour, which is striking terror into the hearts of social justice warriors and crazy progressive liberal academics everywhere.
Well, and to your point, the choice you presented in your interview over the weekend, develop that a little bit more, because you talked about what the left tries to do, which is pit minorities against minorities.
Yeah. No, I do talk a lot about this, and I think it's interesting. That kind of happened at DePaul, actually. There was a question about whether the university was being responsible, and in my view it wasn't, allowing Black Lives Matter activists to run rampant over an event staged by a gay guy. What we've seen in Orlando is an even more horrible and obvious and chilling version of, as you say, what I call minority wars, which are the way that the progressive left pits people against one another because it erects these victimhood hierarchies. Now, for reasons best known only to the mysteries of the inner progressive mind, Muslims seem to be at the top of that victim hierarchy, despite the fact they want to kill everybody else on it. And we're starting to see some of the effects of lying to people about Islam, lying to people about what's likely to happen when you pit these groups against one another. Now, America hasn't traditionally had large-scale acts of sort of minority terrorism, intra-minority terrorism, if you like, outside of the race issue. But we're starting to see it happen now, and it's starting to happen because we've lied to gay people about the worst thing they can possibly look to suffer in their lives. So the worst thing that's going to happen, someone's going to walk down the street, you're going to get called fag. No, actually what's happening is we're welcoming in Islamic terror, and we're welcoming in Islam in general and the culture that surrounds that religion, which is completely antithetical to our values, which is horrible to women, which is murderous toward homosexuals, and we're lying to gay people about it. So we're not providing them with the tools or the opportunity, the tools that they need or the knowledge that they need to protect themselves, to be vigilant, and to look after themselves. We're telling them there's no problem. Oh, Muslims are all lovely. Well, they're not. Muslims don't like gays very much. Just look at the numbers. 96% of Palestinians believe that, homosexuality is an unacceptable lifestyle choice. And even in our own countries, in Britain, for instance, 52% of British Muslims believe that homosexuality is an unacceptable lifestyle choice. You will never hear about that from the progressive left. But these people are living in our cities. They're living in our streets. They're living next to us. And sooner or later, these things are going to happen. Orlando was a horrible tragedy, but I hope if something good comes out of it, is that gay people realize the political left does not have their back.
So what was your reaction yesterday when Donald Trump, he basically said people should be able to love who they want and to express their own identity. Is Donald Trump pro same-sex marriage?
Well, Donald Trump has been the person who has stood by the gay community through this the most strongly, which is why I think you're seeing all these news reports about whether it's the Phoenix LGBT organization or whether it is just gay people on Twitter saying, you know what, I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I'm going with Trump. And I am seeing dozens, if not hundreds of people talking like that, particularly in Orlando. I'm in Orlando right now. I'm down to give a lecture tonight, University of Central Florida, about 6 p.m. tonight. I'm going to be giving a lecture about Islam and gays. I'm seeing this on the streets down here. I'm hearing people talk about this. They're saying, I had no idea this was ever going to happen to me, but you know what? This is the only guy that might actually protect us. Hillary Clinton is part of the problem. She is part of the left consensus that erects these victimhood hierarchies, that refuses to accept that not everybody is nice to other people. I think people are recognizing in Trump, whose birthday it is today, I think, people are recognizing in Trump somebody who is happy to take a stand and happy to defend Americans. Because ultimately, some of your listeners are going to be Christians. They're going to have some issues with gay sexuality, gay lifestyle choices, whatever. But there is a world of difference. There is a vast gulf between a Christian baker who says, you know what, I'd probably rather not cater a lesbian wedding, and a Muslim cut up about his own sexuality, as we now think is probably the case, who takes to a nightclub, kills 50, and maims another 50 people. This is not something that Christians are doing. This is not something that any other group is doing, and it is time we were honest to the minorities in our own countries about it so they can protect themselves.
And maybe you can lead the students in Central Florida in a happy birthday to Donald Trump on his 70th tonight.
Well, it was just a happy coincidence that my talk about being on Daddy's birthday. So yes, I will make an effort to do that.
Well, now the left is not going away without a fight. Sally Cohn from CNN tweeted that every religion has subgroups of intolerant extremism. The problem is intolerant extremism, not Islam or even radical Islam, according to Sally Cohn. Mark Stern in Slate chides Republicans who are expressing condolences to those who were murdered over the weekend, saying, conservatives like Senator Rubio or Mike Huckabee are those that oppose gay marriage, and so they have no place to even comment, apparently, I guess, is the argument. So it kind of goes to what you were speaking to, which is, can we make a distinction between I disagree with this policy, I disagree with your opinion on this policy, and I want to murder you? It seems like there's a chasm between those two things.
Doesn't it seem like there's a little bit of a difference between those two positions? I mean, Sally Cohn is the dumbest woman in America. If you follow her Twitter feed, you used to feel your IQ draining away from you as you read it. I don't know, what happened to her during childbirth, whether this is a consequence. I don't know, that haircut. I don't know what happened to Sally Cohn. But, you can feel the dumb start to suffocate you when you read her Twitter feed. And it's that lack of perspective. It's the lack of seriousness. I don't know whether she really thinks anyone is going to be persuaded by her witless prattle about, right-wing Christians being just as bad as Islamic terrorists. But nobody is buying what you're selling, Sally. It's insane. And the more that you bang on with this crazy lunatic nonsense, the more you are driving people into the arms of Donald Trump. So I guess on the one hand, you carry on, sweetheart. But on the other, I think it's deeply stupid and irresponsible to be making excuses for a religion that wants to kill me. Sally Cohn is a lesbian. She's a Jewish lesbian. They don't like her either.
Right.
And I wonder, I do wonder, out of these terrible, evil Christians versus, these lovely, nice, moderate Muslims that she knows so many of, which she'd rather be trapped in a room with for the rest of her life. I can tell you it is not the Muslims.
You said over the weekend that it was horrifying, America's history being Muslim on gay crime. But now that we've learned more information, especially, overnight while people were sleeping, that his ex-wife has come forward saying her husband had gay tendencies. He'd been going to that club for 3 years. I don't know if he was casing the joint or actually participating, but he was on gay websites, Grindr, Jab. And now classmates are coming forward saying, he hit on me romantically. Does this change your perspective on the shooting?
I think what's very obvious is that Islam is just structurally incapable of interfacing with many aspects of free capitalist democracy in the West. And one of the things that it is definitely creating is genuinely torturous and murderous self-loathing among homosexuals. Now, sure, there was a time in history when Christians who were homosexual had to make some pretty, difficult decisions and had to wrestle with some stuff. But bear in mind also, of course, that the Christian church, in its various forms, has protected gay people for centuries. And times when the state was chemically castrating and killing gay people, the Catholic Church was welcoming gays into the clergy, providing them with safe haven. The Christian church, you can't say about Christianity and in particular Catholicism that has always been hateful and antithetical towards homosexuals. The picture is more complicated than that. But Islam, yeah, you can be pretty straightforward and you can be pretty honest about it. Growing up under that particular faith with the horrendous extremism that we now hear of being preached in Orlando mosques about the death penalty for homosexuality being the penalty for homosexuality being death. Of course, a British preacher, because I'm sad to say the UK is breeding some of the most extraordinarily intolerant extremist ISIS fighters and clerics anywhere in the world, because the UK has a very serious political correctness problem when it comes to this stuff as well. When you listen to this stuff, it's not hard to imagine why somebody growing up with complex sexual identity or just growing up gay might be moved to acts of craziness and terror because he is saddled with this ugly ideology.
He is Milo Yiannopolous. He's the Breitbart Tech editor. Milo, thanks as always for joining us. Good luck with your speech in Central Florida tonight.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's